Hello. For my video project for Intro to Asian Cultures, I decided to focus on religion across Asian cultures. Today, we're going to explore how Confucianism and Buddhism, two major Asian philosophies, continue to influence modern life. These traditions are more than just historical ideas. They shape family structure, education, workplace culture, and personal values. In this video, I will explain the principles of each philosophy, examine how they appear in everyday life today, and analyze why these values persist and adapt in modern societies. My name is Cass Munoz, and this is Wisdom Across Asia, Confucianism and Buddhism in Modern Life. To start us off, the first of the two is going to be Confucianism. So, what is Confucianism? Confucianism originated in China around 500 BCE with Confucius, a philosopher who focused on ethics and social harmony rather than the gods or the afterlife. Among many Asian religions exist key principles to follow, such as karma and reincarnation, kami, or the five precepts. The key principles for Confucianism are as such. Ren focuses on compassion and empathy. Li focuses on proper behavior, rituals, and etiquette. Jiao focuses on filial piety and respect for parents and elders. And Yi focuses on moral righteousness. These principles promote social order and interpersonal responsibility, which have influenced East Asian societies for over 2 millennia. What's the takeaway from this? Notice how Confucianism prioritizes society over the individual, in contrast to many Western philosophies that emphasize personal freedom. This more heavily shapes workplace hierarchies, education, and family dynamics. So, what does Confucianism look like in modern life? Confucian values remain relevant today. In the education system, students respect their teachers, and success is often tied to family honor. In the workplace, harmony and teamwork are prioritized over individual ambition. And in families, adult children are expected to care for aging parents. Those are just a few examples. What's the takeaway here? These practices reflect cultural continuity, but modernization also challenges them. For example, younger generations may question strict family obligations or hierarchical authority. This tension shows how tradition and modernity interact in shaping cultural behavior. Let's move on to Buddhism. So, again, what is Buddhism? Buddhism began in India around the 5th to 4th century BCE with Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. Unlike Confucianism, Buddhism focuses on understanding and overcoming suffering through the Four Noble Truths, following the Eightfold Path to ethical living, mental discipline, and wisdom, and practicing meditation to cultivate mindfulness and compassion. Buddhism exists in many ways. It spreads across Asia, adapting differently in Thailand, Japan, Tibet, and Sri Lanka, depending on cultural context. So, what does Buddhism look like in daily life? Buddhist principles similarly continue to influence daily life. Mindfulness and meditation help people manage stress in fast-paced cities, which is much of where Buddhism is present. Compassion and ethical behavior guide social interactions. And finally, temples and rituals maintain community cohesion and cultural identity. How can we critically think about this? Buddhism's flexibility allows it to coexist with Confucian values. In some families, people honor ancestors, which would be an example of Confucianism, while also practicing meditation or ethical mindfulness, which would be an example of Buddhism. This blend shows us how cultures adapt multiple philosophical systems to modern life. So, they can still adhere to societal norms while also adapting core principles seen in religion. Let us compare the two. So, seeing these side by side, Confucianism focuses on ethical duties in society, emphasizes familial hierarchy and social harmony, and external relationships define moral conduct. On the other hand, Buddhism focuses on personal ethical growth and mindfulness, emphasizes compassion and overcoming suffering, and internal reflection defines moral conduct. Side by side, we can see that these two religions are opposite in some ways. While Confucianism enforces social order, Buddhism provides tools for personal well-being. Their combination in Asian societies illustrates how cultural practices balance collective responsibilities with individual development. So, what might be some modern challenges and adaptations that these two religions face? Let's take a look. In modern times, rapid urbanization and globalization challenge traditional practices. As we said earlier, Confucian hierarchies are questioned as younger generations prioritize individual choice. Urban lifestyles reduce time for temple visits or daily meditation. However, both philosophies adapt. In Buddhism, meditation apps and mindfulness workshops bring Buddhism to city life. And for Confucianism, modern workplaces incorporate Confucian teamwork principles without rigid hierarchy. So, the takeaway is that dynamic culture and philosophical evolution, these adaptations show that culture is dynamic, not fixed. Philosophy evolves to meet societal needs while preserving core values, like we said earlier, adhering to societal norms. Finally, what are our key takeaways? Our overall key takeaways. First, Confucianism teaches duty, respect, and social harmony. Second, Buddhism teaches mindfulness, compassion, and inner awareness. And third, in regards to both, religion is a heavy influence in many Asian societies, families, workplaces, and schools. So, how can we compare this to Western cultures? In contrast to Confucianism, Western cultures, especially in the United States, often prioritize individual independence and self-expression. Young adults are encouraged to move out, pursue personal goals, and define success on their own terms. This comparison shows how Confucian societies may emphasize stability and group cohesion, while Western societies emphasize autonomy and individual choice. For Buddhism, many Western societies prioritize happiness, and it is linked to achievement, productivity, and material success. The cultural message can be work harder, accomplish more, acquire more. This contrast reveals two different approaches to well-being, one that often looks outward for fulfillment, and one that encourages looking inward for peace. In regards to both, we do see some cultural exchange. Mindfulness meditation, which is rooted in Buddhism, is now widely practiced in Western psychology, healthcare, and education. This shows that philosophies are not isolated. They influence one another in a globalized world. Ultimately, studying these philosophies help us understand how cultural values shape how people define success, happiness, and responsibility. What are some questions to consider to take away from this video? How do Confucian and Buddhist values compare to our own personal beliefs? Can these philosophies guide ethical decisions in today's globalized world? And finally, as societies become more individualistic and technologically driven, what aspects of these philosophies should be preserved, adapted, or reconsidered? Thank you so much for your time.